This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto. Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with another episode of our What If F1 Went To series. Yes, of course, if you missed out on the last video at Catalunya, of course, definitely recommend going back and checking that one out. Of course, we went back to the classic Barcelona layout. Would it be better without that final chicane? And I think we learned it would certainly be very different, and with the 2022 cars, most tracks hopefully are going to be a whole lot better as well there. But of course this weekend though, Formula 1 heads to the Monaco Grand Prix. A bit of a nothing race, to be honest. You know, you spend a lot of the afternoon looking at the boats rather than looking at the cars go by single file. However, there's another much better race going on this weekend, or at least in my opinion, a much better race. And that, of course, is the Nürburgring 24 Hours. So I kind of originally accidentally started this series back when this car released at the end of last year, where we took it around the Nordschleife. Today, though, we're going to be taking the Mercedes W12 around at the Striker 24-hour layout here at the Nürburgring. 170 corners, 16 miles. Of course, Formula 1, it's been a very long time since they raced around this circuit. 1976 was the last time Formula 1 came here, if I remember correctly. So this is going to be rather interesting today, a real sort of test of what the car is going to be able to do. I think top times around the Nordschleife by itself last year was sort of running high, like 4-minute 53s, I want to say, around there or thereabouts. Sort of 450s, sub 5 minutes was kind of the goal if you were worth sort of your weight in sim racing ability, I suppose. But yeah, of course, around the full layout today, though, gives us a little bit of a chance to see what these cars will be like as well around the GP layout. Again, of course, we kind of got that one race back in 2020 around the Nürburgring as well, which is really cool to obviously sort of see this track back, because I felt, you know, this era of cars around here was always going to be quite a fun experience as well there. And I mean, a lot of the real life F1 2020 season is kind of what this series has ended up being based upon, to be honest. Just so many different cool circuits as well there. But of course, if you want to see more sim racing content from me, I would definitely recommend going back and checking out my second channel. There'll be a link to that down in the description below. Of course, we do iRacing and Gran Turismo 7 content over there, as we've got to remember we actually have the fast chicane, and now we head out on to the Nordschleife. Of course, normally on these videos, I do a couple of laps, sort of get into it, and then, of course, try and go for a couple of push laps. Around here, that might be a bit difficult, because I think even good lap times are probably going to be, what, around about, probably just over the 6-minute mark, I want to say. So it's not going to be impossible. Of course, we'll sort of do our sighting lap, then get in sort of a bit of a pushing lap, and then we'll go low fuel, everything like that. Really try and maximise the car third time around. But yeah, it's just such a cool and iconic circuit. I mean, the Nordschleife is, without a shadow of a doubt, my favourite track in the world. I can completely appreciate, you know, it's far too dangerous for modern-day Formula 1. We will never see Formula 1 racing around here in anger. That is just a guarantee. It's never quite going to happen, unfortunately. But that is the joy of sim racing at the end of the day. You know, in fact, you can bring a car like this back to a venue like this and sort of see what happens there. This corner's going to be easy flat, isn't it? Yep. No car in its right mind to be able to go through that as easily flat as this Mercedes. I know I've said it before, but the way this thing just grips up absolutely everywhere is, it always just kind of bends my mind and breaks it to within a certain degree there. But yeah, it's just super cool heading back to the Nordschleife. But like I said, this is definitely my favourite track in the world. One of, I think, not many circuits where I do genuinely feel like I know this place super well. Like, I'm not even joking when I say this. I've probably done well over 1,000 laps around this place across games there. I mean, it's, to be honest, there's a bit of a story to that. My dad and I, for pretty much since for about probably upwards the last 15 years, ever since Gran Turismo 5 came out, we would build cars up on that game. We'd have a certain budget or certain requirements. We'd build cars up and then race each other around the Nordschleife. So I've been doing laps around this place on the sim for the better part of 15 years now, which makes me suddenly feel really old as well. But yeah, so safe to say I know this track pretty well at this point. Loved it on Gran Turismo Sport, and of course iRacing as well. It's just a beautiful venue to head back to. You know, other games as well, it's always been super fun. You know, it's just such an iconic track, and like I said, once you know where you go around here as well, it just makes it all the more enjoyable, as well as we're pretty much now at the back half of our outlap here. I think, to be honest, the way with how grippy this car is, I genuinely think it's a car that the second half of the lap is probably going to be more fun than the first, just because that's really where you're sort of leaning on the downforce. You know, the first half of the lap, there's quite a lot of straights, quite a lot of very slow speed stuff as well. The second half of the lap, it'll really just be trying to hang on for dear life in this car as well there. I'm also not sure as to what we're going to try and do for ERS mapping, to be honest, because normally we go into qualifying mode when we try and go for an attacking lap. That's definitely not going to last around the 16 miles and 170 corners of the Nürburgring. So yeah, really not too sure whether we're going to have to sort of go medium deploy or low deploy or what, but then we won't really get through the battery either. If you're running on sort of low deploy on this car, it won't really sort of deplete below about 80%, as yep, this thing can definitely handle Carousel a whole lot better than I expected it to be honest. But yeah, so we might have to try and experiment with the ERS settings as well on our second run. But yeah, like I said, this second half of the lap, once you get through Carousel, I mean, these corners, you really are, it does feel like a street circuit in that sort of sense of you're just trying to thread the eye of the needle. You know, you're trying to avoid the curbs in most places because they will spit any car out. Anyone that has watched sort of crash compilations from around here at the Nürburgring as well will know just how brutal this half of the lap would be. Of course, this was the couple of corners where I'm sure that obviously everyone, you'd wave at the camera as you go around there because there'd be a guy sat up there filming as cars try not to run wide out towards the gravel trap through there. But of course, yeah, so much history around this circuit as well. I think on the day this video is going live, I want to say final qualifying is running, and of course, the good thing is with the NURB 24, not only is it a 24-hour race, it's streamed for free on YouTube. Anyone can watch it, you know, if you're between sort of, if you want to watch all the F1, the F2, everything like that over the weekend, you can just flick between this and that over the course of the weekend there, because the NURB 24, yeah, free to access on YouTube for everyone every year. I think it's normally hosted on the GT World, I want to think it's called, YouTube channel. I know they changed it a couple of years ago, but yeah, definitely recommend watching a race around this circuit as well. You know, you really, especially over 24 hours, you know, if you get a bit of rain somewhere, you know, you get a little bit of drama, some intrigue. It's probably one of the only tracks still in the world, I'd argue, you know, where endurance racing nowadays has very much just become sort of a 24-hour sprint. NURB is probably one of the only tracks on the calendar still where that isn't really the case to a certain degree. Now, there is still that element of luck. This place is a true car breaker like no other. You know, we sort of talk about Le Mans being like the iconic 24, but I'd argue this place is a far more difficult endurance and test there. But yeah, well, I'm going to try then putting the car up into qualifying mode there, as I accidentally probably have destroyed the floor. But let's start then our first sort of proper attacking lap here around the Nordschleife, or not even the Nordschleife, the full 24-hour layout. Back onto the GP circuit we go. Familiar territory for modern-day Formula 1 cars, or not as familiar as it should be. I'd love to see F1 come back to this venue, but breaking down at turn 1. A bit of a lock up there. Try and get the car coasted into that first apex. A lot of locking up, actually, through the first couple of turns. And weirdly, I don't often spin this thing under traction. Normally it's pretty grippy. So not the best start to our first lap there. Perhaps just took a bit too much out of the tyres down in towards turn 1. But, you know, it's a long old lap round here. I mean, legitimately, you know, if someone like a Verstappen or a Charles Leclerc or a Hamilton or a Russell spam down at turn 1, you know, this track's long enough where, you know, if you're going up against like a Williams or an Aston Martin, you could probably still make the gap back up and be ahead of them at the end of qualifying. Now, I think the Spanish GP last weekend, the top, I think it was 17 was separated by like 1.2 seconds at the end of Q1. That would be incredibly unlikely around the Nordschleife. I mean, like I said, Formula 1's never going to return to this layout of this venue, but if it were to, you would probably be looking at sort of 6/10 to a second gap between a lot of cars. So that is not the line through the chicane. They got a bit too optimistic. We'll definitely have to sweat mode on our second lap. But heading back now onto the Nordschleife. Trying to just avoid locking, it makes you realise, Formula 1 circuits nowadays, we sort of moan about like Suzuka, for example, being still very bumpy and things like that. They're nothing in comparison to a track like this. The Nordschleife, such a bumpy old school venue. I'm sure we'll sort of find a similar story around Le Mans. Oh, dearie me, that's not gone well, and unfortunately around here as well, it's a very long lap to try and set yourself back up then, but that was not how I wanted to start. I guess what we'll do then is pick back up the action here on this lap and just see now if we can try and keep it clean and get the tyres up to temperature as well and sort of learn what the limits are going to be around this venue there as heading out down in towards one of the scariest parts of the lap. Well, this is where Jan Mardenborough had that devastating GT3 crash a few years ago in his Nissan. Unfortunately, obviously took the life of a spectator through there. Just the front end completely lost downforce and just went straight up as well. The horrifying crash, reminiscent of what we used to see happen to, I think it was Mark Webber, wasn't it, back at Le Mans in the late 90s there. And this track's still very... this is why obviously Formula 1 will never come back here. I cannot state this enough. As fun as it is racing around here on the sim, this is still such a dangerous circuit at the end of the day. It does still take lives most years. See, especially with the fact, it is actually technically a toll road. You can go around here in real life, in your car. You can get there, pay, I think it's 25-30 euros and do a lap. In fact, I've done so before. My dad and I went there when we went to the Belgian Grand Prix a couple of years ago, because this track's only about 50 miles away from Spa, two of the best tracks in the world, super close together in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, we went down, I think it was on the Thursday night, I want to say, did a lap here of the Nordschleife, and then yeah, went to the Belgian Grand Prix over the weekend as well. There's certainly, like I said, if you go into Spa for the weekend, even if you go to like Spa 24 or anything, come down to the Nürburgring, just sort of see it for yourself as well. There is such a cool venue to sort of come to, but yeah, definitely starting to learn now what this car can handle around here. Let's try not to take too much out of the tyres either, because that would be another very, very difficult thing. I can't imagine Pirelli would have much fun trying to set up a tyre around this circuit there. You'd probably need, well, what's it, about the C14s, I reckon, rather than like the C5 and the C6 or something like that. You would need ridiculously hard tyres to make it work around this venue, because really, yeah, if you're on a set of super softs like I am now, probably sensibly, you're going to get a lap, maybe a lap and a half out of them, especially with the way I'm driving at the moment. I'm probably not even going to get 2 laps out of it, but we'll wait and see. Might just have to cool it off around the second half of the lap here, but yeah, still, what a car, what a venue, This is German engineering at its absolute finest from both sort of standpoints, the car and the circuit. This track, yeah, I mean, it's still dubbed as a real car breaker, and it's why whenever a car company brings out a new car, they always bring it to the Nordschleife to test out, the final sort of signing off process. Pretty much any car there, and really does earn the respect or even the jealousy of your peers in the motorsport world. But yeah, let's try and head through this second half of the lap. Then don't want to do anything stupid though. Still, I guess is the other thing. But yeah, I just mean the grit you can take. Third lap, like I said, we're definitely going to concentrate, try and go for a bit of sweat mode around here, and sort of see what I can muster up, because this is, yeah, really going to be an experience that takes up all of your brain capacity. Often I do enjoy sort of commentating as I race a car around, but around here, I think if I'm really going for it, I'm probably not going to be able to formulate a sentence, to be honest, as we head now down. I mean, just like I said, I've done so many laps around this track. And the fact that all the corners now suddenly sort of come at you so quickly, it does kind of mess up your brain to a certain degree. Because you sort of, I try and process corners, you know, a little way in advance, like any sort of sensible person would. But in this car, you sometimes just cannot think fast enough, especially with how quickly the corners come round here. And how you're used to sort of a different sort of speed, you know, GT3 cars, something like that. You sort of can stomach it in a car like that. But in this thing, you can't really think fast enough in a lot of cases to really try and get everything that you possibly need processed. But heading out down at the back straightaway, then you finally sort of get this chance to recuperate, catch up, remember sort of where you are, what you do and everything like that. As yeah, I'm intrigued to see what sort of speed we'll be able to get out of it next lap. I'm running the high downforce setup though around this venue as we head up in towards the Bilstein Bridge. Let's just get ready then for one sweat mode lap here at the Nordschleife. Not even, I keep calling it the Nordschleife, and it's obviously not even the Nordschleife, it's the 24-hour layout, which is even more daunting. But qualifying mode engaged. Down in second gear through the final couple of corners we go. Back up third and fourth. Fifth, and then cycle all the way up in towards seventh and eighth gear as we head at the final corner. No idea sort of what lap times I've been able to set up to now. But let's try and go then for one clean lap here at the Nürburgring. Try not to tip it in too aggressively down at one like I did last time round. And we get away with it just about that time. Back in tried to wriggle free, but we definitely stamped that out. Just all that grip from the rear. I mean, around the GP section I can kind of work out, you know, sort of what I'm doing, formulate sentences as well, but like I said, once we get onto the Nordschleife, it's going to be a real test of concentration there. Locking up a little bit down at the hairpin. Often find, you know, where this corner's slightly more than the hairpin, always try and get on the throttle a bit too early there, and it kind of drags you out towards the sandpit. Schumacher S easily navigated that time round as we head up in towards the next S section. Two of my favourite corners actually around this, like such an iconic circuit. But yeah, I do love those corners as well. I don't know what it is about them, just always seem really cool. But now we head down, this is of course where I made my first sort of proper mistake last time round. Definitely didn't that time, remember to slow it down. Like I said, I'm certainly no pro in the Mercedes there, as that's a way to start the Nordschleife. Let's really focus now. Put the power down, come on. 1,000 ponies trying to escape the rear end. Don't be what I did last time. Which luckily, just a little bit of hesitation there, but we get away with it. Just trying to monitor how much battery we've got as well there, because I might try and tweak it around later on in the lap so we got enough down the back straight. Been through there, completely pinned. 8th gear. Probably going to be getting close towards 200 clicks when we head down the back straight. Not quite, battery not wanting to deploy as much as I would have wanted there, but still not bad. Like I said, that corner completely pinned. Broke a little bit early there. Again, you can't attack the curbs around here. They will fire you off into an Armco. Down through Foxhole, up the other side, down the one gear. That corner should never be down one gear at that sort of speed. Just clip the curb on the exit there. Back end again, thought about it, but we correct it, and we live to fight another day still. Oh, a lot of curb there. Just can't even see it where you're aiming for, so you kind of just guess and hope there as we wedge it over that curb as well. Maybe starting to just take a bit of liberties here at the Nordschleife, and you cannot get away with that for very long. So that corner, again, should never be flat at that sort of speed. Big lock up there. This track falls away from you. So we now head down in towards Adenau. Best line out into the back straight, but not too shabby either. Fingers crossed we're going to see a bit more deploy being used to carry us up the hill. There we go, look at the delta in the green there now. The car just using a little bit more battery, but when we get them into 6th gear, it just doesn't want to anymore. We'll flick it back down into 7th just to give ourselves a little bit more speed. But yeah, again, Mercedes engineers not wanting us to get all the battery drained around this part of the lap. I wonder if there's still sort of an inbuilt limit that the game won't let you use over a lap, despite how long the circuit is, because I would love just free reign, just to be able to use everything, as again, almost looping it. Through Carousel nice and tidy, and like I said, this part of the track is what I was going to really look forward to. This is going to be a bit of a roller coaster through the second half of the lap. Often a forgotten and less loved part of the Nordschleife, I think, but certainly still, what an experience. Because all the corners just come at you so quickly, you can't even enjoy it for all too long either, because suddenly you realise you're out down in towards mini Carousel and towards the end of the lap here. Even in 7th just because of the weird battery usage in 8th. Down in towards mini Carousel though. Oh, back end really didn't want to... Well, front end actually there. We kind of launched out of Carousel a bit early. As this corner, is it completely flat? Yes, it is! Oh, there's no way a lot of these corners should be as flat as they are, but is battery going to keep deploying? Yes, it is now. Finally getting a bit more deploy as we head up the back straight. Is he going to get... Oh, it's going to continue. Look at that. Love that. On the engine, can I change it around? It stops doing it now. Can I go into attack mode, perhaps? Will it keep deploying? Yes, it will. That's what I like to see. Keep using the battery. Please, car. As you can just see the delta climbing. What is the time going to be here? It's certainly going to be a lap that I'm going to be pretty happy with, and my prediction won't going to be far off then. It is going to be sort of a low 6 minute. As through the final chicane we go, up towards the line. That is going to be a lap then of the Nordschleife, and that's going to be sub 6:20, 6:19.2. I will take that very, very happily indeed there, like I said. Now, if a top driver is able to get around the Nordschleife in just under 5 minutes, another 1:20 around the GP Lau isn't too shabby either there, and like I said, what an experience that is. If you got iRacing and you got this Mercedes, definitely worth giving this combo a go. It's a bit insane, but still certainly well worth your time. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like and get yourself subscribed. Next week, we are going to be taking this car, I think we are going to be heading... It's not Le Mans next week. We're going to be going to Le Mans the week after that, so definitely get yourself subscribed for that one. I can't quite remember off the top of my head where we're going to be taking this car next week, but I'm sure it was one that I was looking forward to, so it's definitely going to be fun. I'll see you guys there. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.